Hey everybody, and welcome back to our Detroit Lions preview show here at MLive. I'm Kyle Meinke.
And I'm Nate Atkins.
Lions back at it this week, Nate, against the Ravens on the road in Baltimore. And their playoff hopes on life support, I think at this point, they are not mathematically out of it in the division. Obviously, still very much in it, I think, in the wild card, particularly considering their schedule. They have probably the easiest schedule of any NFC contender left in it. The problem is everyone else in contention has also been winning. Their playoff odds at this point are down to about 19%, according to ESPN. I don't know if they have to win every game to make the playoffs, but they have to go at least 4-1, I think, and obviously that starts with getting a W in Baltimore.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult stretch because the teams they're chasing are the teams they lost to head-to-head. The Saints and Panthers are 2 games behind. They lost head-to-head there.
That
the
goal
Falcons.
line against the Falcons, yeah.
That could be their season at the very end, those couple of inches there. But yeah, they've got to catch these teams, and so you can't catch them playing average ball. You've got to be able to try and win out here, or at least get close to it. They are going to get a little bit of help because those teams are in the NFC South. They'll beat up on each other a little bit, but yeah, you can't go 3-2 and think you're going to catch teams that are a game or two ahead of you.
I don't see them making the playoffs at 3-2 down the stretch. They have to go at least 4-1 and perhaps 5-0. I think at this point, for the first time this season, I really feel like they might not make the playoffs.
Yeah, it's getting dicey because they have 5 winnable games, but it's not just winning one of those. You have to win all of those, or at least get close to winning all of those. And it's easy to think that these bad teams are just going to pack it in, but if you're not fighting for the playoffs right now, you're fighting for your jobs. It's not going to be easy. They have to win 3 games outdoors, which they've not done well in recent years, as we know. So it is possible, it is doable, but this is not an easy stretch for them.
Okay, Nate, back to the electric Twitter machine here for a reader question. This one comes from Fake Caldwell. Would missing the playoffs get me fired? Not necessarily. It's hard to say anything definitively on the job front for Jim Caldwell when we don't know the terms of the contract. We don't know the money, we don't know the years, or anything like that. So it's hard to say anything definitively. Having said that, I do know that ownership loves Jim Caldwell. They love the way he coaches, the kind of team he puts together. And I also know that Bob Quinn works very well with Jim Caldwell. If you need a coach who can express what kinds of players he needs to fit the scheme. I think some of the late round picks you've seen flower under Jim Caldwell is evidence to that. A guy like Miles Killebrew, Anthony Zettle's in his second year as a 6th round pick, and he's leading the team in sacks. And so I think that they look at stuff like that when it comes to the security of Jim Caldwell. But certainly, if they lose 3 games here, if they lose 4 games down the stretch, he very much could be in trouble.
Yeah, it is hard to gauge because we don't ever get to talk to Bob Quinn. We don't talk to ownership. We don't know exactly where they stand. And last year made it kind of difficult to read into this year. But, they waited until they made the playoffs and all the noise was there. And then they said he'd be back for next year, but nothing any more definitive than that. So I don't know if it's playoffs or bust because, there's an argument to be made for if they go 10-6 and some teams are just 11-5, does that mean that that's just not good enough? Where last year 9-7 was good enough? It depends on whether he thinks he can go out and get a better coach than Jim Caldwell, and that's something we obviously aren't going to know until we get to that point.
Okay, Nate, going into Baltimore, I'm really intrigued this week to see the new face, Dwight Freeney. Future Hall of Famer, tore it up for a decade there in Indianapolis with Jim Caldwell. Maybe he's not the Dwight Freeney of old, but when he replaces Jeremiah Balaga in Detroit, I think that's an obvious upgrade, and I'm very curious to see what the Lions do with him opposite Ezekiel Ansah.
Yeah, he's always been a smaller pass rusher who's made it work. It's not maybe the most ideal scheme fit for the way the Lions usually play, but they need pass rush help, and they need it badly. And so this is a guy you can bring in a very limited, specific role, and you can trust him to do some things based on his track record. So it'll be interesting to see what he does, how many snaps he gets, probably in that 15 to 20 range. But I'm interested to see, do they bump Ziggy Ansah on the inside, rush Dwight Freeney on the outside, try and just wreak some more havoc than they had in recent weeks? That'd be a big boost for this defense.
That's what we got for today, guys. As always, want to hear from you. Here are the Twitter handles. Hit us up going into next week's game. Nate, do you have a prediction for us?
I do. I'm going Lions 23, Ravens 20. I think they go on the road, get this done. But Joe Flacco is not Matthew Stafford, and I think that'll show up in the 4th quarter.
I got them 20-17 this week. Listen, I think the points will be hard to come by, particularly on the road against a pretty good defense. But the Ravens are terrible offensively. I just feel like Detroit is a better team. They've had additional rest. The Ravens are playing on the short week. Give me the Lions. That's what we got, guys. I'm Kyle.
I'm Nate.
We're MLive. Keep it right here.